Hi, welcome back. My name is Miss Hodson, and I'm your virtual teacher as we get started today with Lesson 7. So we're going to stay focused on our guiding questions as we continue in our work this week, and those are the same every day throughout our unit of study. And we're going to stay focused on this topic that really is held in the guiding question number 1. How do human actions affect the natural world? So, how are the things that we do making an impact on the environment, the natural world of order, animals, all of these things? That's one of our guiding questions. A second question is, how do authors approach providing information and making an argument, like in the articles that we will be reading? So authors produce writing, they write for us, they approach information, and they make it in a sequenced logical presentation. So that's what we're going to also take a look at. And the third thing is, how does reading for research help me to inform an opinion and make an argument? So the more I know about something and the more I seek understanding, how does that empower me as a writer myself? So as we get started here, we're going to need the same types of materials that we do every day. I'd like you to pause the video and make sure that you have these items in front of you before we begin. In your distance learning packet, you'll need your Lesson 7 and your Lesson 7 note catcher. You might also want to refer back to the article that we will need for bee blight and your previous work, possibly for lessons 5 and 6. So go ahead and find a pencil, pause the video, and when you're ready to go, come on back and push play. Fantastic. Let's get started. Today, our learning target is focused really around vocabulary. The more we know about the words we read, the stronger learning we will have as an outcome. And our speech will improve, our writing improves. So we're going to focus today on vocabulary. The learning target says, I can use resources to build my vocabulary. So we're going to stay focused on that today. And what I want you to do is go back into your reading, Bee Blight, that's the article, and with a family member or a caregiver or a friend, reread the article and put your attention a little bit more toward the words you're reading that you might not know. Words that are unfamiliar or completely unknown to you. I came across a couple. And also words that you're pretty familiar with, but they're using them really specifically. So as you reread the article now, I'd like you to be using your pencil and maybe circling or underlining those words that are not as familiar to you. And we'll stay focused on that during our lesson today. Go ahead and pause the video. Take about 15 minutes to read through and keep an eye lookout for the words that you're not as familiar with. I'll meet you back here. Pause the video now. Okay, great job. Thank you for going back to that article. So, did you notice any scientific words during the reading? Ooh, I sure did. There were a lot of words in there. And also, if you go back to the article, the slide is now saying you can underline all that vocabulary. I asked you to do that as you read, but just in case you didn't, those are things that we can do to engage with our reading more completely and help us stay focused on our work. And also, I think at this point you would have at least 5 and maybe 10 words that you might not have fluency with. You might not know the definitions. And that is in addition to the 3 words that are on page 2 over here in the box where it talks about definitions. So you might have also written down or circled those 3 words, but they're already giving you the definitions of those. I'm guessing that in addition to that, you might have 5 or 10 other scientific vocabulary terms, words that you need to be thinking about. I'd like you to look at your underlined words and then talk with someone about what do you think each of these words means. And if you don't know the meaning of the word, what clues can you get from the text that can help you know what those words are? Sometimes you've heard a teacher talk to you about context clues and looking for definitions around the word. Sometimes they'll tell you, the author will tell you right in the same sentence or near the word what that word actually means. So I'd like you to think about that and then talk with someone about what do you think each of those underlined or circled words mean in your article. Stop the video here, have that quick conversation, and then come on back and we'll pick up the lesson from there. Okay, so the next little piece of this is to talk about how to try to use the text to define those unknown words. And so when you're looking through that, sometimes the article will support you, and sometimes you can talk with someone, ask some questions, or use some other options that might be available to you. Possibly you could Google something on your cell phone, or maybe there's a dictionary in the house and you can look it up. I often go to an online resource called dictionary.com. And so when you come across vocabulary, like they have this long phrase that was called Environmental Protection Agency, and then they just called it the EPA. Like, I definitely wrote that down. There were all kinds of words about chemicals and things like that. So that was a piece of it. So now when you turn to your Lesson 7 note catcher, I'd like you to organize your scientific words into this table of categories and write a really brief definition for each word that you're pulling out of the article. When you're finished, you can compare your table to one that you completed last week. This isn't the first time that we've done this activity, although I know you were with Mr. Martz last week. So I looked at some of that work, and I know that you're familiar with this note catcher. So now look at your article, the words that you've identified that were pretty unfamiliar to you, and then categorize them in this Lesson 7 note catcher. Define the words the best you can, and then come back to the video and we will finish up today's lesson. So I'm going to ask you to pause for about 20 minutes and take time to pull the words off your article, hold them in this note catcher, define them, and then push play again. All right, take some time and do that note catcher. I'll see you in a minute. All right, fantastic. You know, knowing more about words just makes us stronger when it comes to our own writing and our ability to read as well. So a habit that some people develop in time is to skip words that they don't know, just skip right over them. But that really changes how you understand a text. So what we do is we dig a little deeper, we identify the words that we don't know, and we actually take time to pursue, find out what those definitions are. So thank you for finishing up your Lesson 7 note catcher. And I'd like you to share that information with someone else. The talking part of this helps us with our writing as well. And then you could spend another 20 minutes reading something that interests you, or going back to your distance learning packet. There's a variety of articles in that as well. And the last thing that I would ask you to do today is go back to Be Blight, set a timer for 60 seconds, begin reading at the top of the article and read for those 60 seconds, 1 full minute, and see if you get a little further into the article and tally up how many words you've read. I think you're going to be reading more and more words every day we practice this fluency piece. I'll see you again real soon.